Hi, good morning and welcome to day 3 of this year's PDTC. I'm Kyle Fauntleroy. We'd like to begin today with a brief description of the pre-commissioning unit DDG 1000, better known to us today as the USS ZUMWALT. DDG 1000 laid the keel for a new era in surface warfare. She was designed to meet every requirement outlined in the Surface Navy's theory of distributed lethality, and was fitted with the newest propulsion systems, navigation systems, weapon systems, targeting systems, and damage control systems the brightest minds in the Department of the Navy could come up with. No ship in the Navy had ever tested these new systems at sea. It was all up to the crew of DDG 1000. But like any new or untested good idea, there were some challenges to be overcome, some bugs to be worked out. Chief among these challenges were crew care and sustenance. You see, like all 3 flights of the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, DDG 1000 was constructed in Bath, Maine, where the closest resources, like a commissary, exchange, medical, dental, housing, and a chaplain, were either an hour and a half away driving time to Kittery, Maine at Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, or at the Naval Training Center in Newport, Rhode Island. About 6 months before sea trials, the DDG Command Master Chief called the Surface Force Master Chief to ask for help. The crew was experiencing high levels of professional and personal stress, and this stress was demonstrated in a spike in disciplinary, medical, and mental health cases. The Force Master Chief asked me to head up a Tiger team to assess the challenges and to propose solutions. So we mustered up a team of 2 chaplains and 2 hospital corpsmen to do just that. What we found was a compounding of issues, each making a solution for one issue more complicated for another issue. On the professional side, the crew of DDG 1000 was optimally manned. That means minimum manned. Meaning that even though the ship was about the length of a cruiser, her manning was only 124 strong. The size of the operating crew had been estimated based on all the newly installed automatic systems. Again, systems that had yet to be tested at sea. Secondly, the manuals for all the equipment provided by the contractors who had designed all these new systems, well, these manuals were incomplete and not in alignment with Navy standards. So each department within the ship had to author the manual for their specific piece of gear and system. From engineering to operations, from deck to WEPS and admin, all of which had about 1/3 of the manning their Arleigh Burke-class counterparts enjoyed, every sailor on the ship became an author or proofreader in addition to their primary duties. These tasks were laid upon the same requirements every other sailor in the Navy must meet when it comes to physical fitness, professional development, and training, or GMTs. Pressurizing this professional climate was the impact of cost overruns on the part of the contractors. Cost overruns that resulted in the loss of the computer training classroom, which resourced the biggest part of the equipment and system operation and maintenance manual training. Further complicating these professional stressors were the crew's living conditions. Because the timing of the pre-commissioning schedule, most of the sailors had opted to be geo-bachelors during their anticipated brief tour in Bath. Military housing that once belonged to Naval Air Station Brunswick had been sold to a private vendor. The conditioning of the housing units had degraded significantly, to the point described by some as worse than Section 8 housing. This, combined with the absence of family resources like Family Service Center, a chapel, a commissary, medical, dental, and the rest, families were dissuaded from joining their sailors. However, the only barracks available to the crews of the ships in Bath was the old hospital, and the rooms of that hospital were not segregated by pay grade or gender. So it was no wonder the command of DDG 1000 was faced with disciplinary cases like fraternization, conduct unbecoming, alcohol abuse, UA, and failure to meet uniform regulation standards. Then there were unusually high mental health issues as well. So the challenge to our Tiger team was how to provide what matters, when it matters, where it matters. The ship, and therefore the crew, belonged to NAVC. The contractors, and NAVSUP, with ADCON to serve for. That meant the Force Surgeon, the Force Chaplain, me at the time, and the Force Master Chief were responsible for the training and equipping and care of the crew and their family members. But we were in San Diego, a whole continent away from Bath, Maine. So, here's the bottom line. Ministry of Present, or incarnational ministry in traditional terms, just wasn't possible. We had to network with the chaplains from CNIC to arrange monthly visits from the chaplain and the Family Service Center in Kittery, Maine, that is Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. Medical had arranged for medical, dental, and hearing assessment and a hearing assessment booth to be scheduled in Bath on a quarterly basis. The training of lay readers was done by video teleconference. Counseling was sometimes accomplished by phone, text, and even Skype, with referrals and follow-up by the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Base Chaplain and the Family Service Center. So for the Tiger team, if it were not for the reach of technology, resources required by the crew of DDG 1000 and their families just wouldn't be accessible. When the ZUMWALT was finally commissioned in Baltimore, after several delays costing months of time in the yards and millions of dollars over budget, she finally made it through the Panama Canal with only one minor fender bender. She finally made it to San Diego. When we visited the ship, we heard more than once, "Chaps, it's good to see you in person." I guess the bottom line is this: my understanding of the ministry of presence changed over the course of a 30-year ministry in the Navy, thanks to the introduction of technology. Nothing replaces being there, but shaking hands with someone that you've known for months for the first time is priceless. The day ahead of you, this day 3, is challenging, but we think you'll find it really rewarding. So have a great day. Embrace the new language of a new generation. Go Navy.